What happens when the people paid to protect your secrets finally start talking? When the fixer becomes a witness and the silence turns into testimony. This week, Sean Diddy Combs found himself facing more than a courtroom. He faced the truth. From leaked freak-off footage to a former assistant detailing drug pickups and party cleanup, Diddy's empire is no longer whispering. It's screaming. This isn't just celebrity news. This is the unraveling of a kingdom built on control. And today, we're unpacking every piece of it. Trigger warning. This episode contains descriptions of abuse, drug allegations, and disturbing court testimony. Listener discretion is strongly advised. Before we go further, don't forget to subscribe to the Life Points with Ronda podcast on Apple, Spotify, or wherever you tune in. Catch the full episode video on YouTube at Life Points with Ronda, and follow me on all social platforms, Instagram, Facebook, and Patreon. Life Points with Ronda. Want to receive exclusive updates, a free healing gift, or book a session? Visit lifepointswithronda.com or email me directly at lifepointswithronda@gmail.com. This community is growing, and your support matters. Hey family, welcome back to Life Points with Ronda, the space where we talk relationships, healing, and real-life truth without the fluff. Today's episode is raw, because what's happening in the courtroom of Sean Diddy Combs is no longer about celebrity. It's about cycles of silence and the moment they finally break. Thursday and Friday's court sessions brought shocking new testimony, disturbing footage, and the collapse of a carefully crafted persona. We're going to walk through it all. What was said, what it means, and what we need to take away from this. This wasn't just another day in federal court. June 20th marked a shift, not just in the timeline of the trial, but in the atmosphere surrounding Sean Diddy Combs. The mood was different, tighter, thicker, and even the air felt like it was holding its breath. As court opened that morning, 2 jurors had already been lost, one dismissed for giving false residency information and another sent home sick. In any other case, that might be a footnote. But in a case this high profile, this sensitive, and this weighted, jury disruption isn't just about logistics. It's about energy, about who's left to hear the truth, and how carefully it will be held. And the truth? It started pouring in like a flood. The prosecution began with a visceral presentation of freak-off party footage, not grainy, mysterious snippets, but raw recordings allegedly showing what these late-night hotel gatherings actually entailed. We're talking dim-lit penthouse suites, women under the influence, bizarre interactions, and scenes that, according to multiple witnesses, weren't just wild, they were traumatic. One witness, referred to only as Jane for protection, described how these parties blurred the lines between consent and coercion. She testified that women were often recruited, intoxicated, and expected to perform. That there was a pattern, a structure, a chilling routine. These weren't parties, they were performances with invisible scripts, high stakes, and one director behind the curtain. And let's be clear, that director was allegedly Diddy. The silence in the courtroom was deafening. You could feel the collective discomfort of every juror, every reporter, and every spectator in that room. Because it wasn't just about salacious details, it was about the normalization of exploitation and how far-reaching that normalization can be when the person at the center has fame, wealth, and decades of institutional protection. This section of testimony wasn't just about sex. It was about control. The emotional, psychological, and social power that Diddy allegedly wielded over everyone in his circle, including the ones who helped make those nights happen and the ones who were harmed by them. And this was only the beginning. When Brendan Paul entered that courtroom, he didn't walk in like a celebrity assistant. He walked in like a man carrying years of silence on his back, the kind of silence that weighs heavy on your spirit, the kind you wear in your posture, not just your testimony. Brendan wasn't just another employee. He was Diddy's right-hand shadow, a figure many in the music industry recognized but knew very little about. He wasn't there for clout or visibility. He was there to clean up, to handle things, to keep the machine running without noise. Until now. On Friday, under immunity granted by federal prosecutors, Brendan Paul finally spoke. And what came out wasn't just damning. It was devastating. His testimony was methodical, emotionally restrained, but deeply revealing. He stated plainly that his duties included booking hotels, arranging events, and, allegedly, procuring drugs for Combs's private use and parties. Let's pause there. Because in most industries, someone openly testifying to supplying drugs to a billionaire CEO would be front page news. In the music industry, it's often whispered about and swept under the red carpet. But Brendan wasn't whispering anymore. He confirmed purchasing and handling substances including cocaine, ecstasy, marijuana, and ketamine, specifically referring to 2C, a potent pink powder blend of ketamine and MDMA popular in some underground circles. He admitted to being present at what prosecutors have described as freak-off nights. He admitted to cleaning up after chaos. And most telling of all, he admitted that this was simply the job. He was asked whether he considered himself a drug mule, a label that's floated in the media since this case began. His response? A measured denial. No, I was just doing what I was told. But that denial didn't erase the fact that his role extended far beyond scheduling appointments or grabbing lunch. Brendan wasn't just an assistant, he was the buffer, the bridge between public image and private destruction. The prosecution painted his testimony as a critical link, connecting Diddy not just to the parties, but to the logistics, the cleanup, the procurement, the infrastructure of exploitation. And that changes everything. Because when someone on the inside, someone with firsthand knowledge of the inner workings of a man's daily life, begins to speak, the illusion shatters. It's no longer a matter of he said, she said. It's a matter of we saw, we knew, and we finally told. This testimony didn't just expose one night. It exposed a pattern, one that may have lasted years, hidden behind NDAs, hotel doors, and the thunderous distraction of Diddy's empire. And if Brendan Paul, a man who once stood quietly in every room, has found his voice under oath, the question becomes, who else might follow? Cassie testifies. Her pain, her power, her legacy. Cassie Ventura did step into the courtroom, and her presence changed everything. Over 4 emotional days in May, pregnant with her 3rd child, Cassie shared harrowing first-hand accounts of life with Diddy. She testified about being coerced into drug-fueled freak-off parties involving male escorts, enduring physical violence, and being blackmailed with intimate videos. She described Combs humiliating her by forcing her into acts while under the influence, even being assaulted during her menstrual cycle, and watching male escorts perform for him while he watched. At times, she broke down, gripping the stand as she shared moments of terror, control, and anguish. One deeply chilling detail: Cassie recalled a 2016 incident captured on video showing Combs assaulting her in a hotel hallway, a video she identified under oath, illustrating how he allegedly used violence as a tool of manipulation. Cassie's testimony carried weight because it was candid, brave, and foundational to the prosecution's case. She didn't just recount pain. She framed it as part of a system of coercion: emotional, psychological, sexual, blueprint of control that bolstered the charges of sex trafficking and racketeering. And yet, she also showed resilience. Despite fear, isolation, and legal pressure, she completed her testimony, and her words remain etched in the narrative. She reminded the world that survivors are not silent statues. They are powerful storytellers, no longer willing to be hidden behind wealth or fame. Let's take a deep breath, because at some point, this episode has to become less about Diddy and more about us. The trial is happening in a courtroom, yes, but the reckoning, that's happening in the collective soul of a culture that spent decades glorifying men who were never safe. And that includes the way we treat survivors, the way we ignore whispers, and the way we protect charisma over character. Ask yourself this: how many times have you seen the signs, not just in celebrities, but in your own life, and chosen not to believe them? How many times have we called abuse drama, manipulation chemistry, or toxicity passion? This trial forces us to confront something that lives deeper than gossip. It makes us ask, what does it mean when we normalize control? Why do we call it loyalty when it's really trauma bonding? And what kind of society have we created when silence becomes the only way people feel safe? Cassie's text wasn't just a statement about Diddy. It was a reflection of how so many people have been loved conditionally, treated as objects, pushed into corners, and told to smile through it. And Brendan Paul, he's a symbol too of the people who see everything, know everything, and yet feel powerless to stop it because the paycheck is tied to the abuse. But maybe the scariest part is how familiar this is. The feeling of knowing something's wrong and being told you're imagining it. The feeling of watching someone become more powerful the more harmful they are. The feeling of realizing that the system isn't broken. It was built this way. So here's the deeper truth. This case isn't a glitch in the Matrix. It's the Matrix finally being revealed. And if we have the courage to look at it, to really look, we can start to deconstruct not just the power structures, but the internal structures we've inherited. The patterns of silence, the fear of speaking up, the belief that someone else's success is more important than your suffering. Because that's what healing is. It's when we stop protecting the people who never protected us. It's when we stop gaslighting our own intuition just to keep the peace. It's when we say, that may have been normal, but it was never okay. So, no, this episode isn't about dragging Diddy. It's about pulling ourselves out of the energetic contracts we didn't even know we signed. It's about reclaiming our voice, not just in court, but in life. Because silence may have protected the empire, but truth sets the people free. So now that the evidence is out, now that the silence is broken, now that the people closest to Diddy, the assistants, the women, the fixers, have started to speak, we have to ask, what happens after the curtain falls? Because the most dangerous part of celebrity culture isn't the artist, it's the illusion. The belief that talent makes someone untouchable. The idea that success can erase suffering. The way we've all, at some point, chosen to look the other way because the music slapped, the clothes were fly, the image was powerful. But that illusion, it cost people their lives, their sanity, their safety, and now the cracks are showing. We're watching not just the downfall of a mogul, but the cleansing of a collective lie. A lie that said money makes you moral. That said fame makes you innocent. That said, as long as you're valuable to the world, your victims don't get to matter. But let me tell you something, and I want you to hear me. We are in a spiritual season where the truth is louder than ever. We are in an energetic portal where integrity is the new currency. And the people who've built empires on silence, fear, and shadow are being brought to light. Not because they were unlucky, but because the earth is tired of carrying secrets. And if you've ever been in a situation, romantic, professional, spiritual, or personal, where someone held power over you, where you dimmed your truth to survive, where you watched harm unfold and felt too small to speak, I want you to know you're not crazy. You were surviving and you made it out. And now you get to tell the truth, not just about them, but about you, about your healing, about your worth, about your decision to finally step out of the contract of silence and step into your divine authority. Because the real story isn't about Diddy. It's about what happens when we all stop pretending and start choosing truth. And when that happens, there is no more bad boy, only truth, only healing, only forward. Thank you, as always, for spending this time with me here on Life Points with Ronda. This space exists to hold the hard truths, not for drama, but for transformation, for the survivors, for the truth tellers, for the ones who never had a mic until now. Remember, you can follow the conversation across all platforms: YouTube, Instagram, Facebook, and Patreon under Life Points with Ronda. If today's episode spoke to your spirit, please leave a review, share it with someone who needs to hear it, and visit lifepointswithronda.com for resources, coaching, and your free gifts. And as always, I honor your voice, I believe your truth, and I see your light. Until next time, take care of yourself and each other. With love, Ronda. Thank you for watching. If you found value in today's video, I invite you to take your journey even further with my podcast, Life Points with Ronda, where we dive deep into relationships, personal growth, and the wisdom that helps you thrive. Tune in on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, and all major streaming platforms for powerful insights that can transform your life. Don't forget to subscribe to this channel for more uplifting content like this video, and share it with someone who needs to hear this message today. Stay connected with me on Instagram, Facebook, and Patreon. Life Points with Ronda. Visit my website at lifepointswithronda.com for exclusive content, coaching, and more. Thank you for your support. Until next time, take care and stay phenomenal.